3 weekends, all 14 apartments.
Wow.
So quickly filled it up, and that became our style, to take old rundown buildings, old neighborhoods, and make them beautiful with trees and beautiful clean sidewalks, and make sure the windows are shiny all the time. And over the next 7-8 years, really built up a big network of buildings here in Jersey City. And then lost it all. Late 80s, early 90s, our bank went out of business.
So here we are with Paul Silverman in Jersey City, New Jersey, founder and builder of this wonderful building, & Co. Is that correct?
Charles & Co.
Charles & Co.
Building, yes.
And this is a 99-unit building. You built how many years ago?
2015 we opened up.
2015.
Yes, yep.
So can you just give us a brief history, like really quick? I know you're busy. How you started here in Jersey City. I know you bought the building across the street with a tree grown through it.
Yeah, abandoned for 30 years.
and-
Well, it goes back. We started in 1981. I'm running my father's trucking company in Kearney, and my brother Eric comes into Jersey City, finds an old rundown building here in Jersey City, and he tracks down the owners and makes a deal to buy it and asks me to be his investor in the property. So I did more than just invest. I really worked with Eric closely. While I'm running my truck company, he built a beautiful building, and in a year we put little tiny ads in the New York Times, filled up the building. 3 weekends, all 14 apartments.
Wow.
So quickly filled it up, and that became our style, to take old rundown buildings, old neighborhoods, and make them beautiful with trees and beautiful clean sidewalks, and make sure the windows are shiny all the time. And over the next 7-8 years, really built up a big network of buildings here in Jersey City. And then lost it all. Late 80s, early 90s, our bank went out of business. Real estate market crashed, and we lost everything, and scrambled to make deals with everyone to settle all of our debts. And by 1994, we settled every last debt. And over the 3 years, from 94 to 98, did some work for the Jersey City, did some work for Verizon, the phone company, and just to help make ends meet. And then 1998, a phone call from Joe Burkhart, one of our bankers that had been at one of our original banks. He went to a new bank and called and said he wants to lend us money to buy and rehab an old building. I said, Joe, what are you, crazy? I said, we didn't pay you back in full last time when everything tanked. And he said, well, Paul, nobody paid us back in full, but you and Eric answered the phone every time I called you. You lived up to every promise you made to me. You have the kind of character we want to lend to.
Wow.
So understanding that, answering my phone, making a commitment, making a promise, and sticking with it, that really taught us a good lesson. And Joe worked for Sovereign Bank at the time, which is now Santander, lent us money to buy and rehab the Park Foundry in Hamilton Park, and then paid him back early because it was a success. Next building, he did the Majestic Theater condominiums for us, and then we haven't looked back.
Right.
Try to keep our debt low, build quality buildings, service them well, maintain them well, keep them full, and try not to sell anything. So try to hang on, hold buildings, hold apartments as long as possible to have that positive cash flow as time goes on, and something to pass along as a legacy to our families.
So Paul, I've been cutting your hair for 20 years now, and you shared a lot of stories with me, and I remember the two things when you were going through those rough times back in the 90s with your creditors. There was two things you salvaged. Your house. I remember you telling me you would never give up your kids' college fund. And you told me if there's one thing you never give up, it would be your kids' college fund. Isn't that right? You remember that?
Yeah. So tempting.
You remember you telling me that?
I had money set aside for my 2 kids going to college, and it would have been so easy to just invade that fund and help pay the bills, but I resisted. And thankfully, they went off to college with no debt, had the money there available for them to go to school. And I can remember the emotion. When my younger kid, my son, was senior in college, and my wife and I wrote out that last check to pay his senior year college tuition, and with no debt at all. So
that's awesome.
Willpower, the you know, I was driving my late father-in-law's old car instead of buying a new car, and
Yeah.
just being as careful as possible with the money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it takes a lot of willpower, a lot of staying power to stick around.
From that day on, I started a college fund and I haven't touched it, and I
Fantastic.
never will.
Good move.
That will be
That's great.
protected by all means.
Yeah. Smart. Well, you've got 3 kids. You're gonna have some expensive days ahead.
That's right.
That's great.
So I've been cutting your hair, so all these little stories add up over the years. I remember when you were building this building and the steps you were going through. If you don't mind, so you've been here, what, 30 years now?
41.
41 years
now,
in downtown,
1981.
in downtown Jersey City.
Yeah, man, a long
I just
time.
want to ask you like one thing to all like beginning investors, because I always say vision is like the key thing to investing. I want to ask you, when you bought that building with a tree growing through the office, what was your vision for the area? Because the area was really run down.
Correct.
Like what made you decide that this is going to be your future? Because a lot of people would run away from that, but you ran into it.
True.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us how you, like what was the mindset behind that?
I'll give a lot of credit to my brother Eric. He's really got the great sense of what the future can hold. And you know, knowing City Hall is right across the street, path train to New York City or to Newark, just 2 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that the area can be great.
Right.
So Eric had that courage to convince me to say, yeah, let's invest in this neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
buy that building, and then stick with it.
Yeah.
Over the 30 years of those buildings across the street from City Hall being empty, the tree growing through it,
Right.
as you remember,
Yeah.
and boarded up for 30 years.
Right.
Developer after developer committed to the city to do it, but
Right.
nobody did it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got here in 2000, 2001, we told the city, we'll stick with it, we'll make sure it happens. And we did. We opened up a restaurant, a bar, a beautiful women's clothing store, a white-goods real estate office, a flower shop, a yoga studio, and a bunch of residential apartments in that site there. And,
Okay.
and since then, the flower shop has become a pet store. So there's now pet supplies. There's more dogs in here than you can imagine. White-goods it's their busiest office in Hudson County, and the bar has now become Razza, best pizza in New York, right here in Jersey City. So we're really careful with the retail that we put in there. We're also careful to maintain the buildings well so they keep their value, keep them full, and have great relationships with our banks. M&T Bank, which financed that building, Provident Bank, which has been a great supporter of all we do.
Okay.
So, it's
So
really good.
how many units have you acquired over those many years?
Oh, it's hard to keep track. And it's hard to know how many buildings, but I'd say probably 30, 40 projects all these years, ranging
Nice.
from 15 units to 100 units and everything in between. So
That's
keep
awesome.
it small, manageable, but big enough that we can make a good living and have a great staff. And
Okay.
we're really blessed with that. The team we have working for us,
That's awesome.
we've picked people that have great attitudes, nice people, smart people, and really comforting.
If
And
there's-
I need to go. It's 10 of 12. I
If
have
there's
a-
one thing I'm really inspired by Paul is that his ability to connect with the community. So he doesn't just build projects and run away. He actually connects to the community, and that's really inspiring. He's a dad. He's an entrepreneur. He's a visionary. So I'm really inspired by him. There's going to be a part 2 to this haircut because he's in a rush. He's got to go. So we're going to cut his hair next time and ask more questions. But for now, this is a good introduction to learn about Paul.
Great,
If you're
man.
in Jersey City, stop by Anco, grab a cup of coffee, check the space out. How could our guests get in touch with you?
Yeah, Paul at silvermanbuilding.com. Look at our website, silvermanbuilding.com. You'll see everything about us.
Cool.
I also own a small beer company, New Jersey Beer Company, njbeerco.com.
Yes.
Check that out as well, and our co-working space, Anco. And I have to run because I have a lunch with the president of Provident Bank today. Big supporter of all we do. So
Awesome. Thank you, Paul, for having us.